Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review 12 Mighty Orphans. And this is a new sports film about a famous football coach who took a bunch of ragtag orphans at an orphanage and took them to the state championship in Texas for football. And along the way, taught them about self-worth and also revolutionized the game of football. And this story is really incredible, and I think it goes a long way in my enjoyment of watching this film as a football fan and realizing how much Rusty Russell, our main character, portrayed by Luke Wilson, actually revolutionized the game. Like, wide receivers weren't a thing. That spread offense wasn't a thing. It was, let's line up and try to run over each other and hopefully not get tackled. And now it completely changed the game with the quarterback and the wide receivers and the different patterns in the backfield. And this film captures that. Yes, there's some cheesiness to it, like the fact that Russell's sitting there and his daughter invented some of these things by just doodling around trying to watch your father do it. But, you know, it's cinema. You gotta make it more film friendly, right? And you have this story, which I think is really endearing and wonderful, from Ty Roberts, who directs this, who gives it a very vintage look. There's a very traditional feel to this film, almost documentarian at points, especially with the narration and the actual footage that they wind up showing, and the graininess and the look to some of these interludes makes it really feel like you're watching a documentary with the dramatizations in between. And I thought that was an interesting approach. It does feel a little bit like old school kind of, you know what, kind of news reporting. But the thing is, you have Martin Sheen narrating it, and it's great. And even though the narration's a little bit much and a little heavy-handed, it's Martin Sheen, and he does such a great job with narrating this dialogue that it really does stand out. And thinking of the cast, you have Luke Wilson, who plays this character who has trauma, an orphan himself, which is really endearing that this person connected so deeply with these kids because of that and his war background. Then he has a loving family with Vanessa Shaw, who plays his wife, who gets some moments. She's the supportive wife, very much that trope. She hops in when he needs to be inspired, like any good wife in a movie should. And you have Luke Wilson, who gives a really fine performance here. I thought he was pretty charismatic and charming in the role, and he had some moments where he had to display that trauma, especially one particular scene where he's on a run and comes to a stop and gets really overwhelmed with everything, and he's pretty subtle with how these things are affecting him. And then you have Martin Sheen, who's hilarious and really steals the show. He has some great zingers, and he also is an endearing character who's a great mentor to the kids, but also is a bit of a drinker, and he has to overcome those particular things that Wilson's Russell confronts him on. But then you have characters like Wayne Knight, who is great as Newman in Seinfeld, and you know, he is basically a mustache-twirling evildoer in this film, and it can get a little obnoxious at times, along with Lance Garrison, who plays a competing coach who's really over the top, and they feel a little outlandish, but there's some darker, heavier moments involving Wayne Knight's character because he's pretty violent with the kids, and those scenes were definitely hard to watch. And speaking of, some of the teenage actors get some great moments. There's one particular one where we have the one kid, Wheaties, who gets a chance to come face to face with his mother, and Slade Monroe, who plays him, really gets to show some emotional depth there, and that was really meaningful. And then you throw in Robert Duvall, who pops up for a little bit, and Treat Williams, who plays this one guy who's a lot of fun popping in and out. You even have FDR in this film, portrayed by Larry Pine, who he's involved in one of the more like cliched kind of Deus Ex Machina moments that feels really convenient from a narrative standpoint, but you know, it feels all good in the film, and it definitely has its tropes and its convenience, but it feels so good, and it has those moments where it gets a little bit darker. But overall, this is a meaningful and endearing and just positive film that tells a great underdog story that is done with plenty of class. So I highly recommend this film. It's not a great film, but it's one of those films that just put you in a particular place that I think we all could use. But those are my thoughts on 12 Mighty Orphans. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.